One, two. Jersey, stand up.
All right. Speaking of Jersey, so I'm gonna just jump right into it. Right now, one of the biggest hip hop tours in the world is going on right now. Watch the Throne with Jay-Z and Kanye West.
Yes, sir.
You've been at the tour stops as a fly on the wall. What has that experience been like right now for you?
Man, it's super fun. Number one, I don't gotta work. So it's like, the concert thing is like, it's dope, but it's like when the concert is in New York, when it's in DC, when it's in the places that I got family, it's just super hectic for me. But this is fun because I just get to go and watch and not have to really like work for the night, get to be a spectator. But the concert itself is dope. You know, Jay and Kanye, they got so many songs. It's like, the only negative part is you're not gonna hear every one of your favorite songs because you gotta fit, you know, an hour worth of Jay-Z, an hour worth of Kanye, and Watch the Throne songs all together. So it's like, people always like, that's a great problem to have to pick from a whole bunch of songs, but it's like, no matter what, you're gonna get people come up and be like, yo, I didn't get enough Reasonable Doubt, I didn't get enough of this, I didn't get enough that. But it's like, you know, you only got 2 hours to get off a whole bunch of songs, but the concert itself is ill. And, you know, Kanye is growing to the point where he's as much concerned about the music and the presentation of the music and the way it looks, just as much as how it sounds. So, like, I don't want to give it away, but you got to go to the concert, but it's one of them ones where the presentation is just incredible. They spent a lot of time working on the way it looks.
Now, who are some of those unsung heroes, you know, working behind the scenes sonically to keep the show going?
Like, we got some of the dopest people. Like, I give a big shout out to Live Nation. Like, Live Nation is doing their thing in terms of live shows and really making it a business, and really bringing it to the forefront of where live shows need to be. You know, back in the day, the hip hop show wasn't really respected like that. The sound man might be falling asleep. You know, they really didn't understand what we was doing. You know, sound checks weren't really respected as to what we was doing or how to mix the music. And two, one of the things that I think we try to bring to the forefront now is showcasing hip hop with a live band. But always my concern is like mixing in the samples and the live music to make it still have that thump to it the way that we like it, so that it's not too weak with the live band. So it's like, you know, with programs like Live and, you know, Ableton like that, I can take my mixes and separate them and send them to the sound man. But I gotta give a big shout out to Live Nation for what they do for us. Like, they really, really respect what we do and treat it like an art form.
Now, we obviously have a room full of producers who are all bringing their A game today, and I'm going to ask the question for them that I'm sure they all want to know. Jay has a reputation for working with new producers, whether Just Blaze, Hit Boy, you know, Ninth Wonder. How do I get my beats to Jay? Right? Don't y'all want to know that question?
Yeah.
How do I get my beats to Jay?
Yeah, I mean, it's real simple. A lot of times, you know, it comes through me, comes through Lenny S. We're more the people that are like, you know, you can catch us, you know, on the street or something like that and give us an actual CD. But making noise is also a way of getting on there too. You know, just showcasing your beats. Like, people think like some super magic thing happens. Like, I'm just like everybody else. Like, I hear a beat that, you know, that makes you go crazy, and then you try to pass it off to Jay. But, you know, the one thing I will say is, like, producers that give me beats, and I'll think the beat is dope, you know what I'm saying? The producer obviously knows it's dope, but it may not fit for the project. So it's just like, don't get upset if he don't pick that beat that you know is a winner. It just may not be where we're going at the time. I mean, in terms of advice, the best thing I can say would be to wherever we went on the last album, try to go 180 degrees away from that. Because like what people will do is like, we'll do the blueprint, and then for the next album, people will give me a whole bunch of blueprint beats. And it's like, we just got done doing that. We're gonna go somewhere else. Like, or if you really go 180 degrees somewhere else, you may be the person that kicks off the whole vibe of the next album. Like, every album is kicked off by certain vibes. Like, you know, one time it may be Kanye. Like, the blueprint was really Kanye coming and kicking that off. Or maybe like a Dr. Dre may send us a whole bunch of good joints, so we get in that vibe. Or like for American Gangster, Puff set the vibe. Like, you know, or to really give credit, like the Hitman set the vibe. You know what I mean? So it's like, just don't don't listen to the last album and try to duplicate what was on it and be like, yo, I hear this is a Jay-Z type of beat. Like, it ain't no one Jay-Z type of beat. You know what I mean? It's wherever the vibe is going for the next album.
How important is representation for placement? Because I know Hit Boy is managed by someone who's within 6 degrees of separation of Kanye and Jay. How important is having the right reputation to get in that placement?
I mean, the right management is sort of key in terms of your business, and it's also key in terms of, you know, getting to the point where you at least know Jay gonna hear the beat. Like, that's the whole thing. People think, like, don't think just because your management knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that Jay's gonna definitely listen to the beat. Like, it depends. Like, we get in the studio, he may call me and be like, yo, you know, I got a beat, I want to go in and start working. And then I know we starting on an album, so all the beats that I've been collecting for the past 6 months, 7 months that I think are dope, I start playing them for him, because he's obviously going to, like, you know, finish a song and be like, all right, cool, what you got? So I just start playing beats that I think are in the right vein or in the right, you know, thing. Or, you know, Lenny might come in and start playing a whole bunch of joints, but it's not a whole lot of people, so don't get gassed if one dude is like, yeah, I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. Like, Jay don't deal with that. Like, he just deal with the people in the media circle. So it's like, I don't mind getting bombarded with beats, and I sit and listen to every CD that I get. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna give it 20 minutes, but I'm gonna definitely give you the 30 seconds in the minute to be like, okay, is this a hot beat or is this a hot producer? Like, to be perfectly honest with you, like, you may look at it like, yo, this is the chance of a lifetime, let me get on a Jay-Z album, but Jay-Z need heat just as much as you want to be on that album. It's just that if you got a core of people that's been giving you heat for a long time, you naturally, when you say I want to make an album, you know, you're naturally going to call Pharrell, you're naturally going to call Timberland, I'm going to get on the phone and call Swiss, and I'm going to call Justin. You know, the people that have been giving us a bunch of heat, but there's always room out there for new flavors and new styles and new producers. And if you notice, like, on every album, there's always some new producer, and that's just because I don't really look at the name. Like, I don't care what your name is, how many beats you had before. If this is your first beat, like, I'll walk you through it. You know what I'm saying? To really answer your question, the representation is more important when it comes down to the business aspect. Like, you don't want to be the person making the beat and having to negotiate your deal and having to worry about your publishing and all that. Like, your representation should really be doing that. So that's really the biggest part, is that you don't know sometimes when you're sitting in your room when you became a professional. Like, you know what I mean? So if you're a professional beat maker, you got all these things in place. Or some people get held back because they only look at the creative side of it and don't do their homework in terms of, you know, how to get paid. Yeah.
Verse Simmons from the Juggernauts told me Jay's in the midst of the next album. What's the likelihood of somebody in this room getting on that album? Like, how would it happen?
Today, if you got beats, you're supposed to give them to me. There's no way I'm supposed to walk out of here without you giving me your CD or taking my email or giving me a thumb drive with some beats on it. Like, when I come to things like this, I'm like, all right, I'm about to get a whole new stash of beats that don't nobody else got. That's my attitude, right? So then I go home tonight and I'll put them all in a folder that say, okay, I got these on so-and-so date, and make sure that I got everybody's contact. So then I go listen to them, filter through them, and the ones that I think are dope for what Jay's doing, I play them for him.
Y'all heard that, right? Yep. So he should not leave here without a handful of beats, correct? Right. So let's get more into your personal history. You started out DJing in like 87?
Yeah, they did a little earlier than that, but like on a you know, do a party tip, yeah, like 86, 87. I was born in 74. So, you know, around 12, 13 years old, I felt I was good enough to actually be in front of people, because I had a crew of older dudes that was like, you know, my neighborhood was DJing. I had about 4 or 5 DJs that really locked down Wilmington, Delaware, the little area I was in. So they was the ones that like really trained me, and they were the first people I knew that had Technique 1200s, which was like a super big deal at that point in time. So it was just like me coming up underneath of them. But I was the kid, you know, the little kid carrying crates. We used to have a bunch of parties in the projects, because they used to have midnight basketball games, and they would like section off the project. So instead of us like tapping into light poles, we would actually get generators from the city. to be out in the park, but it was really like, you know, so the cops could know where everybody was at type of thing. We was all in the middle of the projects, and that's where I started. But that was really like, if you whack, you might get your, you know, your equipment taken type of situation. You know what I mean? So it was like a real serious training in terms of DJing and having to know when to throw on what record. You know, rolling around with a crew, learning how to hook stuff up. You know, learning what record would make people go crazy at what time.
Now, how did you get to pick the name Young Groovy?
I mean, real talk. Like, I got caught stealing out of Strawberries and Clothier. Y'all remember when the Tommy? I'm a little older than most of y'all, but Tommy, like Tommy Hilfiger was real hot in hip hop at one time. Like Grand Poobah had Tommy Hilfigers on fire, right? So I'm a kid, I couldn't really afford it. So I went to the mall and they had the Tommy Hilfigers right by the door. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get out of here with like at least 6 or 7 of these. Used to be nice at boosting. But it's a weird story because of records, I had went to the record store earlier and boosted a whole bunch of 12 inches. So back then, records used to come in a brown bag. Like it wasn't no plastic bag. This is before the Earth Conscious thing, right? So the brown bag, I put it down and it was like crumbling while I was putting Tommy Hilfigers in my bag. So long story short, I got caught stealing out of the Strawberries and Clothier. So I had to go do community service, right? So it was at a little community center around my way. So I always been teaching, but I was teaching African history and I was teaching about griots and gurus and, you know, like basically African teachers. So one of the kids was like, you know, you're our guru, and the name just stuck from there. So it was just like a neighborhood name that I had because I was always like about teaching. I hope y'all clapping about the teaching and not the stealing.
Now, with every positive, there always comes some negative. That's just the way of the world. Now, a few years ago, another guru, the late guru, Keep Elon, had some issue with you using that name. Did you ever get to speak with him or Premier before?
I never spoke with him personally. Like, me and Premier are really close, like, in terms of Premier is sort of like the older brother. You know, Premier is who you check your soul against. You know what I'm saying? Like, Premier's soul, keep it real with this hip hop thing. Like, he's always the one checking you. Like, yo, cool, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. And it's like my big brother. So it's weird because me and Preem got the best relationship. So when it first kicked off, you know, I instantly just picked up the phone and called Preem. And I'm like, yo, like, what's his issue with me? Like, you know, I had that name before Gangstar even started. And it's bugged out because I'm like, probably one of the biggest Gangstar fans on the planet. You know what I mean? And then he was like, yo, I called Baseline and people was laughing in the background, this and that. I was like, well, I was never there for that phone call. Like, I'm a grown man. So if you got a problem with me, like, me and you could just sit down and talk about it. Like, it ain't no problem in this world unless you like smack my mother or something that we can't work out. And then I said this before, but it seemed bugged out. Like, I do a lot of community service in Jersey. And I talk to a lot of the young kids and a lot of kids in the gangs and all that. So it's like, it seems stupid for me to be beefing with somebody in hip hop. Like, I don't do the fake hip hop beef thing. That ain't me. So there's real beef going on out here that people is burying their sons about. So for me to be beefing with somebody over a name is just ridiculous. Like when I'm asking this kid to like put a gun down and somebody just shot his family. Like that ain't my vibe at all. So, you know, I was trying to reach out to him, but then he got sick and it was like, it was just the most weird thing because it was like unresolved beef and then there comes death. You know what I mean? So I just wish the best for him and his family, but I respect the dude. I love him as an MC, and I'm one of the biggest Gangstar fans. But that's what I just try to put out, the positive energy and be like, yo, from my side, it was never no beef. But I'm still a man, though. I ain't gonna change my name because some other man got a problem with it. You know what I mean? It's still a respect factor there too. Like I had that name before your group was formed. And there's a lot of people in hip hop that got the same name. There's 2 Dr. Dre's, there's 2, you know, we could go down the line of people that got the same type of name.
So you went from DJing for Nonchalant. When's the last time you spoke to Nonchalant?
I saw her in DC the day before yesterday at the show.
Yeah, anybody remember 5 o'clock? 5 o'clock in the morning?
That's crazy, yo.
Now you mixed her second album.
Yeah, I recorded and mixed the second album. It never came out due to politics But it was just a good experience, you know what I'm saying? That was my group, and like she's really responsible for being the first person that really like put me in the game and got me a check out of the industry on some realness. And we ended up going on that Fuji tour in '96, which was a real big deal. Like imagine the opening for the Fugees while they going through the Ready or Not process. Like I remember Lauren not being home for a whole year. You know what I mean? And how big the album was. The fact they took us around the world with them was a huge experience. That was my first like eye-opening. Hip hop is around the world and can be